Hi, and welcome to Telepathic TV. This is television you watch with your third eye. I'm Neville-Johnston.
And I'm Mary Phelan, and our program is about raising our consciousness.
And at this point, raising consciousness is removing doubt, fear, worry, and guilt, is changing the way in which you think as a knee-jerk habit, and presenting yourself in a different way, presenting yourself as the source of what's going on. In fact, we've often said, till you recognize yourself as the source, you don't have a thought that's worth thinking.
Indeed.
Because it'll be the blame game. And we're talking about changing the calendar we exist in.
Ooh.
And today is a specific date in Mayan. And the Mayan calendar is the long-lasting one, has been around for a very long time.
Well, today in Mayan is Ben 3. Ben is known as Skywalker. It's a Mayan word for Skywalker, and it's about uniting the pillars of heaven and earth. And interestingly enough, we have an old friend of ours that's also a Ben that came to watch the show tonight. How synchronous. Mayan is it's just so right on, whether you're aware of it or not. And being a tone 3, it's a day of service, identifying what one would require to do a project, and that's what the service is to it. And Bens, every Ben we've ever known are crusaders. Both Neville and I are in the Ben tribe.
Yeah, in the little paragraph you read below the glyph for 3 Ben, I activate in order to explore, would be said to be a paragraph in the planetary incarnational contract. In other words, everybody on Earth today has in one way or another exhibited an activation in order to explore, whatever that might be. But that's universal. Now, the thing that is so just plain keen about Mayan is that tomorrow will be 4X, followed by 5 Min, 6 Kib, 7 Kaban, etc. But the idea is that you know the future as soon as you know the Mayan system. You know a lot more than the rest of us who don't know Mayan.
And what you're really talking about, rather than knowing a fixed future, you know energies, you know the current, you know the weather. You can still go out in the rain, but you would take an umbrella and things like that. Yes, it's all very interesting. Indeed.
Very different way to think. And that is what this program is about, a very different way to think. In fact, it can be stated that if a thought causes you pain, it is simply not worthy of your attention. It is guaranteed to be fiction. Any thought that causes you pain is not worthy of your attention. In other words, don't think it. Anything causing you pain would be considered to be a third-dimensional construct, and anything involving love would be considered to be fourth-dimensional thinking. We, the human race, are moving, slow as it may appear to be, moving towards fourth dimension. This is the big hoopla about the immediate future. Oh yeah, I mean, we are definitely vibrating at a higher frequency, and that's why we're having more experiences where we're seeing extra-dimensional things, you know, where we're feeling our guides around us a little more, we're getting insights, we're getting into, you know, having visions where we can see things, like dreaming while we're awake. And one thing I just would like to bring up that is kind of underneath all this, that it's really important, since we are vibrating so much higher, that we start pulling our power back into our lives. I read somewhere that the American people do not utilize every year 506 billion hours of leave time that they give up, that they just don't take, and they lose it. Now, what this is saying is we already have the lowest vacation rate anywhere in the world. I mean, it's absolutely unnatural to only have 2 weeks off, and that's if you're fortunate and have a good job that gives you 2 weeks off. And so we just are not allowing ourselves to have the time to do this communion with the next level. And we have to really start taking our attention off the third dimension and putting it onto the fourth dimensional reality, which is a reality where the laws of quantum physics, metaphysics, which metaphysics has been saying for hundreds of years, placing our attention more on how it is we're creating our reality. We have to get our attention there, but if we're not even utilizing what we're being given at work, and not only that, as we hurry through every phase of our life, and it's like our life is this connect the dots, you know, we go from
you know, school to marriage to children. And so by the end of our life, we look back on it and it was like skipping a stone. You know, we just have these certain points that we deemed of value. We have to start valuing every moment, and it's in that moment that we start seeing into our dream life and into our spiritual life.
Yeah, no, we have all noticed the pace increasing in life. Yes, have you noticed the pace increasing in your life? Well, let me explain that it's keeping up with you. It's not consuming you, it's not overwhelming you. It is going at the rate you are. We are just so blissfully or ignorantly unaware of our frequency modulation that any number of mornings, a long, long time now, I wake up and the dreams are racing by me, and I'll dive or drive back into the dreams, and I'll just keep that pace, and the frame will change, like just complete transmutation again, 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 and again. And this is much faster than I'm used to my mind working, because if I'm going to paint a picture and dwell on it, etc., whether it actually be a picture or just a moment in life or use of the imaginative faculties, they go at, I don't know, 24 frames a second. Well, the dreams are like 130 frames a second. They're like 260 frames a second. And it's amazing to me, the difference. And then everybody's been talking, if that's the word, about how fast everything, and no one's happy. Everybody wants it instantly, you know, the McDonald's mentality. I don't even want to bother to digest it. You can't give it to me fast enough. Eating it is way too slow. Digesting it takes a ridiculously long amount of time. So how about just straight right out the other end? There you go. So what I'm saying is this is all keeping pace with us. It doesn't have any choice but to keep pace with us. If you live in a rural area, you're going to make, let us say, 40, 50 decisions in a given day, meaning you're going to see 10, 15 people. And that's probably a busy day in a rural area. Or if you go back in time, you know, in the 1800s or early 1900s. So in the 2000 where we are, it's there's 1,000 decisions a minute. And that's correct. That's the pace of evolution.
Yeah, that's my theory about, you know, or not theory, but something I observed a long time ago. Time, when people talk about time speeding up, it really is, because you have more experiences in the day. A lot of times when I'm doing a reading, people ask me about what the time frame is, like when will such and such happen, and I really don't see it as, oh, in time. I measure it more in distance, that if I'm going to get up and walk out of the room, I could do that right now or I could do that next week, but really the factors involved are I have to stand up first and I have to start taking the steps. And likewise in our life, you know, the more we do right now, we can be at our destination. It really isn't a matter of time. Time is just a measurement of a distance of walking or thinking or changing or something like that. So if we're packing into our day hours and hours, you know, like 10 hours a day working, you know, when the work week is creeping back up to 6 and 7 days a week now, you know, where it had been going from 5, you know, 6 to 5 and then down to 4, then what we're doing is we're packing in all those hours working, and now we have so many gadgets and so many things that are supposed to save us time that actually require so much maintenance, you know, like getting the oil changed in the car, doing the computer, you know, cleaning out the, you know, all these appliances and upgrading things constantly. We just don't have any time for ourselves. And so our life is rushing past us because everything is, you know, we're just skimming across the surface. We're not allowed to sit still and get the depth of it.
Yes, well, it's important for us to recognize ourselves as the creator of this, because otherwise we're sitting here in victim mentality.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that it's all rushing by is not the truth at all.
I'm talking about it seeming because we are putting so much into our day.
Yeah, so getting a hold of it, I was thinking the other day that in the tone of Jeff Foxworthy, if anything in your life is someone else's fault, then you are a victim. There's no maybe involved in it. Yeah, and this is what we wish
we could
to
all
overcome,
learn from that,
is to recognize that the fast pace of modern life isn't technically actually keeping up with us. That's the thing. And when we whine, oh gee, it's all going so fast, that is exactly that. That is the tone of a victim. the idea that this whole thing. So to be in charge of your life. Now this is a live call-in show. You may pick up the phone right now and call us. We'd like very much to speak with our audience to get the idea of your evolution involved in this. If you have, we've been doing this the last couple shows, name a regret and we'll show you why that doesn't work. Name anything that causes you pain and we'll show you a completely different way to think about it, or call in with a dream, or certainly any question on any subject we will answer. It is the way this works. The whole point of thinking is to find a new and higher frequency way to think of it, and as far as I can tell, this does not end. There is always a bigger picture, no matter how big the picture you have. I think we'd get pretty bored if it did. Yes, exactly, yeah. So, and that's the beauty of incarnation. There's always more of it. And whether or not you're incarnate, there's always more of it. So the idea of, well, what can we do for you? That's the question. We talk a lot about changing the very basis by which we think, leaving the victim mentality, approaching the idea of being powerful, of being the creator in your life.
Well, you know, we were talking about speeding up and slowing down. One thing that will assist you to give yourself permission to slow down, and something that does slow you down, is being in a state of gratitude. Because when you're in a state of gratitude, that means you are actually feeling and metabolizing where you're at the moment. If you always feel that your joy and your satisfaction is in some future or some past, you are not there, and it really is like skimming the surface of your life, and you're not taking advantage of all the depth and the stuff above you, you know, the endless sky, and that it's absolutely important. Just like you budget time to brush your teeth in the morning, and you wouldn't think of running out the house without brushing your teeth, start budgeting some time for you to be, you know, who you are and live. Yeah. Oh, we have a call. This is wonderful.
Good. Put the call through. Yeah, mankind's been conned with that one a long time. The priest was always saying, you'll get your reward in heaven.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for calling.
Sure. I was wondering if I could get a general reading.
Sure. I'd be happy to.
Very good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anything else on your mind? Any question in particular?
Well, let's see what this is first, just so we don't confuse the vibes here. Okay, the first card we got is healing. And so this would talk about a lot of healing that has gone on in your life. And healing always begins in spirit, then it goes into the mind, and then it descends into the body, just like illness begins in spirit and descends. So you've made some very fundamental choices in your life that you're going to get call some healing in. And I just feel like a lot of healing that stems even from early childhood. You're a very sensitive person, and I feel like you've pulled in, you know, psychic energies, you know, spiritual, that kind of things, like you pick up vibes very strongly for people. And as a result, you know, you're a really good counselor. I think you have a lot to offer people. And this flowering is saying, you know, you've called the healing into your life on all levels, and so now it's at a time where the flower is blossoming. So enjoy it. Take some time to slow down and really have a look at it, and pat yourself on the back. Now this fighting card says, you know, we have those arguments with people in our life and we say, okay, I'm never going to talk to them again. And that actually serves us well in one regard, because at a certain stage of development in our life, it helps us to draw walls and boundaries so that we can say, hey, I'm not going to put up with this. But then there comes a time to take the armor off and let that healing in. So maybe, you know, if there's somebody in your life, or you know, that you haven't heard from in a while, that may not have been the nicest person to you, now's the time to just say, you know, I'll let that back in, because now it's time to open up and start receiving some more love from the universe.
Yeah, so in line with what you guys have been talking about, the speed of things happening and the speed that we allow things to happen in our life to kind of like slow down and let this stuff in.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, you know, if there's a dry sponge and you put water real quickly, it'll just roll off, but if you just put a drop at a time, it soaks in. You know, it's sort of like that. But, yeah.
Well, in any given...
well, thank you so much.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Any given city, you're going to be likely to meet hundreds of people in a given day, even if that's only eye contact, or, well, not in New York. But here we go. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, this is Annette.
Hi.
Annette, what can we do for you?
I just like a general reading. I've got some different directions I might be heading off, and I'm trying to figure out where to go, and some changes coming on. I just kind of feel.
That would be great. Okay. All righty. Whoa, that one just fell out, so I have to... You know, if you're ever doing the cards and one jumps out, that's always an exclamation point to the reading. Okay, the first card, the totality, is finishing one thing before you begin another. And the thing is we've got to have the spirit on board as well as the physical and the mental before we walk forward with anything. So what this is saying, as you're coming up on your choices, is to let your spirit, call your spirit in and say, is this satisfying me on all levels? And that it really can't just be about money, it can't just be about intellectual stimulation. It has to kind of include all of that. And so it's saying take a little time and listen to that. And this card, politics, it can come up to mean politics. And it can also talk about, you know, those office politics where everybody's kind of saying one thing, meaning another. And it's just saying, you know, as you're making your decisions, look at the details a little more, because it really has to be the right thing before, you don't have to take the first thing that comes along. There'll be more choices. And then the source, to realize that it's all coming at your call. It's all, your choice. And call to you what makes you happy. And a good thing is just to say, my perfect whatever is manifesting now. And the new vision is what leaped out. So it does look like a lot of changes. And I'm just getting, overall, to set your sights higher. That you may have an idea of this being where you want to step. And I'm just saying, look a little higher than that. Because whether that be in more money that you ask for or whatever that is. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now,
bye-bye.
The increase in the pace in life we've been talking about, and what I'd like to point out is the increase in the pace of your evolution, which is increasing, okay, as this, and the illustration is very easy to understand. The more people you would run into in a single day, the more evolving you would do in that particular day. If you live in a city and you meet 1,000 people on a given day, which is not unlikely at all, you're going to evolve at a much faster rate than you're going to evolve if you were to meet 15 people on that same day. It will just be quicker. And that's very much that's a planetary sweep that's going on here. There's more decisions made in a given day, and therefore time warps in this sense, since we create time. But the idea is that we are increasing our evolutionary pace, and that's very good. And it's going to have to be, because from what I understand about the scheduling on this planet, we're supposed to be slipping effortlessly into higher dimensional realms. Well, you're more evolved in higher dimensional realms. And there's a lot that holds back our evolution. You know, the basic mores of society do a very good job of holding back evolution. You're not allowed to have any authority. If you're a toll guy that collects the tolls and somebody goes, oh, gee, I don't want to pay it, you don't have the authority to say, oh, okay, you know, you must do this. You don't have authority period. Well, in the more evolved state that we're talking about, yes, you have the authority. This is the thing about it, and that's why the pace is increasing, to get each of us to get a handle on our own personal evolution, to increase it. So act like that. We are doing this. It's not a quicker pace that's something outside of us beating us. It's a quicker pace because it's reflecting us.
Well, that's true for everything in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It used to be that the dream beings would be at about 4.2 or 3, dimensionally, fourth dimension, 0.2, 0.3. Years and years ago it used to be. Now they have to keep ahead of us to assist us. So we've pushed them into the 5s now. So when you fall asleep, you're dropping into the early parts of 6th dimension. Well, depending on who you are as an individual, I'm quite certain. But nonetheless, the dream beings have to keep ahead of us evolutionarily, frequency-wise, dimensionally ahead of us. So I'm just saying the whole thing's going faster. So when you fall asleep, the beings you're meeting are 10 times what they were a decade ago.
Well, that's true. And I've had the theory at different points in my life, because I don't have any hard and fast thoughts about this, but it changes all the time, that every multidimensional being, these great beings that we experience, our spirit guides or whatever, are really in one way our future self, meaning our more evolved self, and anything that we think of as, you know, in the past, like less evolved, is just our past self. And it's really helpful to me to view other humans on the planet that may bother me or upset me. I'll just say, you know, that's what I used to be. And so thank you, you know, for being that. You know, we're all, you know, on our way, and there really isn't a finish line, and there's no race. And so that's lovely, you know, just to be able to be in that spot. And when I talk about that, I'm not talking about being in one spot and not evolving. No, how you get to your evolution is to be in the spot of now, because that's the access portal to all growth, all dimensional realities is in the now. That's when our spirit and flesh intersect. That's our point of power. We really can't get at anything if we're in the future or in the past.
Yeah, it's okay to be here now. It's a very important piece of wisdom for us to have. Another piece of wisdom that is just hand in hand with that particular one is that, simply stated, the wisdom to know it will be perfect in the moment. So say you've got a report to deliver tomorrow. Okay, fine. So you can do whatever that is all night long and, you know, get all of your ducks in a row and ready to give the report, but it's only in the moment that that makes any real difference. And it will always be perfect in the moment. There's no such thing as a failure. There is such a thing as more information. There is such a thing as this and that. So knowing that it will be perfect in the moment deletes huge tracts of pain from our life. Because once you are anticipating whatever that is, you're giving up your power to it by, one, leaving the now, and two, presuming that anything could possibly go wrong. It just doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's you know, recently, I think yesterday morning, I was lying there, you know, as I woke up, and I just had this really deep meditation, you know, in that deep meditation, and my guides were saying, you know, come over and partake of this great knowledge and all this. And to get over there, I had to set down my burdens, which are the ones we take upon ourselves, that always are glued to us through some kind of guilt, some kind of thing where I'm not good enough, or if I'm not paying attention over here, then something's going to mess up. In other words, anything that we're holding on that weigh us down. And I realized I just got new definition to the words, just set it down. And I've been doing that for the last few days. Anytime anything starts causing any kind of an electrical reaction in me that is an unpleasant thing, I just set it down. And it's just very freeing. And you know, you were talking about New York, and this is something that I've used in my opening of the throat chakra workshop for many years now, in that, you know, this whole illusion of time speeding up, which is actually us just feeling obliged to pack more in our day. It's important to look at that facet so that know that we can take things out of it too and get back to simplicity. But also this slow dance of politeness that we had years ago, where we would, you know, oh yes, and you kind of insinuate, and you know, where we're taught to love ourselves vicariously through other people, and we have to hint, and then maybe they'll hear us, and then we get upset if they don't. That we don't have time for that anymore, because we're not just meeting one person a day. We are meeting 50, 60 people a day, and that we just have to get to the point where we speak what's on our mind. And so our throat chakra is getting a lot of double commands. One is that, oh, I'm being rude if I just speak outright, and the other is there's no time to play these little courtship games with communicating anymore. And so it's, you know, I call that the, you know, I have a tarot deck that kind of has a language like that, and I call the New York deck, because people in New York tend to speak more curtly because they just don't have time for those pleasantries.
And also they're not interested. You know, it's a real pretense, a lot of this. You know, but, you know, getting to the point is the point, as far as we know.
You can still care. My whole point is that you can still care and get to the point.
That's different than being interested or
not. Yeah. You can still care and get to the point that, you know, we interpret it as being rude, but you can still care and say what you feel and just say no. You know, our yeses mean nothing without no's.
Yeah. That's the way it works. So give us a call. We would love to assist. We would love to ask us a question, tell us a dream, anything you would like.
Yes, or I do have the Mayan book if you'd like us to give you your Mayan sign, or as Neville says, a dream, or if you'd like to call in with something that's happened in your life that you regret having happened, call in and we'll help you to understand that, you know, there's a blessing in everything, and when we start looking for the blessings will be the first things that come up.
Yeah, instead of the regret, look for the blessing. Very different way to think. That's what we're talking about on this show, is all of the time, not just 1 hour a week or whatever it is, all of the time thinking in this very different way. And we've got to. I mean, this is what's going on, because we would call this the planet hell in a handbasket. We have a lot of pet names, but I mean, as long as this is going this way, it's time to take command, take over your life. Take over your life. Be in charge of it. Be the one that decides what happens in your life, because you are. And there's this ridiculous language we speak that makes it look like it's the boss, or this unbelievable blame game we play where all personal authority is vaporized by the language itself. You know, the idea of you being in charge of you. Well, who do you think is in charge of you? Well, the sergeant. Well, the boss. Well, the authority figure. No, 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 no. It's you. You are in charge of you 24/7 around the clock. And to switch off, to begin to know this, to begin to think this way, is a very important thing to do. We have our next call. Yeah.
We have another call, so
yes,
they'll be putting that in shortly.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Doris.
Doris.
Hey, Doris.
Yes,
Hey, good to hear from you.
thanks. You're always talking about creating your own reality, and I would like to know how you do that, and then I'd like a short reading.
Okay.
Well, the how you do it. Okay, first of all, you've never done anything else. You've just never been told. You don't speak a language that puts it that way. For example, if you say, I'll try to be at the party, you are not making a decision. You're not. You're simply not. And then you're just subject to whatever wind blows you in whatever direction. So you say, well, I'll be at the party if I can. Well, as soon as you say if, you've taken the decision away from yourself. You are an adult. You can decide you're going to be at the party, yes or no. Pardon me? I don't know.
Just go ahead.
Okay.
The light from the reflector on your crystal was in my...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The idea of you being in charge of your life, it's never been any other way. I can get people to say, oh, gee, I create 100% of my life, but that is almost always followed by the word but, which takes it away. You are creating your life now. Now, which brings up the question, what would I love to create? That question virtually never comes up because most people do not get to the point of recognizing that they're already doing it all.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most profound things that I read. I think it was like 1979. I had been really looking for something to explain what I knew to be true, and I knew I wasn't finding all my answers in religion. And I knew there was something else, and so then I studied science. I wanted to become a doctor and a psychiatrist, and I would read old textbooks and everything. And that's when I realized, the first time I read, your beliefs create your reality, it was absolutely profound. And that's really a key, Doris, is to go in and say, what are my beliefs? Because we have this basic assumption of what reality is, that we think that is reality. And so we never entertain any other kind of options. So the very first one to do, the very first belief or basic assumption of reality, that it is fixed and that it is external and that there's some objective reality that you have to keep measuring yourself up against. Then it's like that's when we get split in half, and half of us is out there measuring us and half of us is experiencing. And that's what, you know, enlightenment is called, being at one with yourself. So the very first thing is to question everything in your life in that nothing is fixed reality. It is all a subjective view of an objective reality, and that is even within my power. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
So I will pull some cards for Doris.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. First card we get is going with the flow. And you know, this is about creating your reality. And whenever we feel the most out of control or out of power, that's when we just give up control and the power then comes. I used to have a thing on my computer, I give up control so that I may find power. I always write my affirmations so I see them there every day. And that one was really useful to me. And one thing about the person in the river, if it doesn't know that it created the flow of the river, it's going to be fighting and struggling and swimming upstream. If you trace it upstream and higher to the point where you're looking for the blessing in it, you will find where it is your higher self made that decision and why. And then you see the blessing in everything. Once that happens a few times, you get this peace that overcomes you, and you can just relax and see that everything truly is perfect. So that's kind of where I feel you're at, that some things that you were struggling with, now you're seeing, that's why I'm creating them, and it's taking me somewhere very special and important. And therefore, the breakthrough card, you know, where we feel confined. This feels like something in regards to your work, but more importantly, your spirituality. You're getting ready to have a breakthrough where you're going to go into another echelon. And, you know, with readings or giving messages, things like that, I just think it's going to be really stepped up. And this card is talking exactly what I was saying when you're kind of fractured in half. We've got that split, you know, this objective self and the subjective self, which is really the same thing, and you just pull the divider out. There's going to be a lot of integration where, you know how we're like one thing at work and one thing at home? Just feels like more and more those are going to get, you know, kind of blended.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
we had, speaking of going with the flow, we had, we do a class called Off-Planet Lives, where we take people to other planets, and you get to take a look at your evolutionary mandate, your particular piece of evolution, as it is acted out on another planet in a very, very different belief system, with a body that may or may not be similar to the one you have. And this is a fascinating trip to take. We do it about twice a year, I believe, where we do the off-planet seminar, or whatever we call it, class, off-planet class. Anyhow, we took one to planet that was a liquid. The entire planet was a liquid, and a consciousness was a certain part of that liquid. And this person was complaining about how other liquids pushed against them, making them make certain shapes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it turns out that the person had the revelation that there are no outside forces, that that planet was all one thing, impossible not to be, yet sections of it were separate consciousnesses, or so it seemed. And since they had the earth brain to fit into this equation, they took this particular part of it. So there are no, this is still in the answer to her original question, how do you recognize that you're creating your entire life? I think that was the question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that, so that there are no outside forces.
You know,
that's the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yesterday, somebody had called in on another show that we had done and said, hi, this is me. You know, like he was kind of caught unawares when we said hello. And I realized he sees himself as me, I see myself as me, and you see yourself as me. And so therefore, we're all me. And it was just kind of like, it just made me laugh that even the way we speak and what we call ourselves, we are all one thing. And, you know, we really are. And in the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Frankl, he was talking about when you start looking at life as God playing solitaire, and that we're all just playing, you know, literally with ourselves a game in order to see who we are. And for fun, it takes on a whole new light. And I know we have another call, so we'll let that come on through.
Yeah.
This is great. We love to have calls. Here we go.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
I'm Betsy. I just like a general reading.
Sure. Hi, Betsy. Okay.
Did you have any question?
She wants a reading, I believe.
I know
she
that.
said.
I was asking if she had a question.
Not in particular,
I'd like to,
just sort of
okay,
general.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think general's good, you know, because then that tells you, I mean, it's okay to have a specific area or whatever, but general's good too, because then sometimes you hear things you may not know to ask. So our first card is courage. And if you look at that flower, it was kind of not knowing if it could survive growing there right on the wall, but not only did it, it's thriving and it's having new shoots grow in its life. And so I just feel like you have a lot of, what's the word, moxie, I guess is a good word for it. I just feel like you've got the energy of the survivor. You can go out there and create whatever you would like wherever, and that, you know, you're, and I don't know, have you ever thought of doing anything in the theater?
Not really, no.
Okay. I just feel like you have a lot of, like an electromagnetic field for something like that. It may be something that comes to you later on in life, but keep that in mind. I feel it's going to be an option. Now, as far as what's going on with you right now, the schizophrenia card, now Osho, which these are the Osho Zen, Osho said that the whole Western world is schizophrenic, meaning that your mind is one place and you're in another place. Like wherever you are, you're thinking about being in the other place. And so it's in other words, a being of two minds. And so this might be talking about a decision coming up where, you know, it's like whatever you decide, you're going to think, oh no, I'll regret not doing the other thing. And what the message of this is, just pick one. And then all the opportunities that were on the other path will show up on the new, or whatever path you choose. So there are no wrong decisions here. And then going forward, this fighting, this is where, you know, when we're caught in that between the rock and the hard place, like, oh no, that tends to make it so that we're always have this like battle going on in our own thinking, like, you know, is this good for me? Is that good for me? So it's saying just make the decision and not to judge yourself for it, and the outcome will be well. So, and you know, if people are in your life that are causing you to doubt yourself or any of this, just say, I'm going to leave that behind and I'm going to walk forward with things.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure, true power, absolutely.
I really feel, though, that there's going to be a point where she's going to have a name for herself, and something that, you know, would be in the public eye. So, well, watch out for that.
Yeah.
Call us back when you're a star. Or before then, but call us then, too.
Oh, anytime you want. This is quite a bit of interesting. There's very much, you know, when we watch a show that we've recorded, and we're sitting there and, you know, we're choosing the story and we're choosing the specific words that will deliver the information we intend to deliver. Yes. And then when you watch the rerun, you realize just how much of that is actually coming from a higher source than you would think sitting here speaking it. You know what I mean? And so it really, this is really all channeled information. I think any of us that began, one of the earliest books I ever read that was a channeled book, I had no idea it was channeled until I had already read it, and then happened to notice that it was channeled. And I wouldn't have read the book if I'd known it was channeled, because this is so far back in my history that, oh, channeled must therefore be wrong, you know, when we believed in right and wrong and other primitive concepts of thought. And it's true, we are all actually channeling all the time. And it's important to give ourselves credit for this, and to, you know, you'll say, well, I don't know what I'm going to say until I actually say it. And that's very true. You don't, because it's coming from a different place than the actual anatomical mind. So it's very important to let this flow go, to allow that to happen. It does occur in geometries. It does occur in angles.
Well, it's stream of consciousness, and I believe you were talking about that earlier when you were waking up in the morning and things are moving. Because stream of consciousness is like that, and I've always said decision is an active verb. I remember going back and forth, vacillating whether to take this job or not one weekend. You know, I had to tell him by Monday morning. And I put, you know, 2 weeks vacation here, blah, you know, I kept weighing them back and forth. And what happened was Monday morning they called, do you want the job? And it was yes, and that's when I made the decision. And it really does, you know, and even in the Bible, Christ said, you know, you open my mouth and the words will be there. That's really the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. And to give ourselves more credit, because this is a divine faculty. This is extra-dimensional. This is a connection to things we don't realize we're connected to. So it's very important that this be allowed to flow, you know, that there's a...
Well, who would... The only person that could stop it would be the person.
Absolutely. So do not stop yourself from flowing. Once you're on the particular stream,
well,
just allow that stream to come to its own end.
That's true. And you know, just on that same note, I think it's very important to be flexible, because if you're the tree that doesn't bend, you know, with the moment and things change, if you have all this attachment to an outcome of the stream is going right there and I have to get there, everything in your life is going to come up to bump you off that stream to teach you that you have to live in the moment. You can't be projecting that I'd like to end up there or I'd like to end up here. And so much of speech really isn't planned. I agree. When you have this agenda that I've got to say A and B and C, and oh, I didn't get to C, something's lacking, then that's really living outside of the moment as well.
And there's always more than one correct answer. There's
Sure.
always more than one.
There's billions,
Literally billions, an infinite number of correct answers to virtually anything there is. And just to allow that and to be flowing in the moment. So give us a call. Let us know what we can do for you, because that is the purpose of our program, is to allow you to, at whatever pace you choose, to evolve to a greater depth of thought.
I would like to just, if anybody out there in the audience has the faculty to copy eumatic tapes, which are the 3/4 inch tape, to a DVD. It's an old format. We have hundreds of old shows that we would like to get to DVD and get posted so people can watch. But those machines are a little antiquated,
Less
so
common,
they're they're not easy to, they're not one of the more common ones. So if anybody has that out there, we would love to hear from you.
In fact, we're doing a lot of archiving work, so
yes, I am.
anybody that would like
we have a call.
Assist, could please give us a call to volunteer in that way, and that would probably be the home number. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, it's Oma. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you, Oma.
What can we do for you?
I was wondering, Mary, can you give me, can you do a reading for me? It's a new year, and
sure.
Anything with career and the love life. This week has been a little bit bumpy with work, but I guess that's part of life. Is it okay if I hang up so I can listen to you guys?
Sure, that would be
great.
fine.
Thank you as always.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I look at this, Oma, pulled the Lover's card. Now, if you notice that there's faces kind of in the heart, and it's saying once you become that soulmate and that find that love connection with self inside, then it shows up outside. And that, the deeper we go with self, the deeper you're going to go with everything in your life, because everything really is a mirror showing you about you. And so, I feel the recent experiences, like of last year and the year before, romantically, have really brought you to a place where you're understanding who you are. And let that copy over in the job. The mind card, like what Neville and I were just talking about thinking that, there's got to be a conclusion. Like, I entered this job because I like to end up at this promotional level after 2 years, and then when that doesn't happen, we get attached to it, and then we get disappointed, and we just get into this mind loop. Same with romance. We start a relationship and we think, oh, it's supposed to end in marriage or whatever. We're always putting these endings on things. Just let things be more open-ended, and don't worry about what's going on job-wise right now. Just kind of get it out of the mind. Just say, this will pass. A year from now, this will be nothing. And just let it pass, because then the mind will let go of it and other things can come rushing in. And this feels, I just saw the, what are those hats called? The graduation hats with the tassel?
Pasteboard, something like that.
Yeah, I just saw one of those. And I know, you're already out of school and everything, but it just feels like something is going to propel you into another level. Maybe a seminar or something like that you would take. It just feels like something's going to kind of break you out of where you're at and take you to the next level. But I would just be real patient with that and not be intellectually trying to hurry that or anything like that.
Yeah, and please too, Oma had said bumpy at work, which is a huge tell, the concept of bumpy at work. As we say all the time, what passes for thinking on our planet is attachment to outcome, and then when we don't get that particular thing we've attached to, we blame others. So if anything in anyone's life, including mine, if anything in your life is someone else's fault, then you're looking directly in the face of victim mentality. And this is what we wish to transmute for the whole of the human race, giving up victim mentality, which is the idea that anybody creates anything in your life other than you. Okay, you can react, yes, all of these words that have left us virtually powerless, but the idea of work being bumpy, you have to source you. And once you can source you, then you can decide. So it is very important to give up victim mentality.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and to actually live where what's going on in your life is what you are creating. Because it is. Whether or not you know it, whether or not you practice it, that still remains the truth. What's happening in your life is your creation. As long as you want to use all the victim words, then you're caught in, a blame thrower, and that's no way to live.
I thought it was interesting that she used the term bumpy, because I viewed it a little differently than you did. I viewed that as a lighter way of seeing it, like a roller coaster would make you bumpy, rather than, and that, and plus what different things mean to us, because it just showed you that we saw that completely differently. And so, and she may have meant it a third way.
Oh, but, without a doubt, she meant it a third way.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Never mind then. What I'm talking about is we all have our own symbolism. We all say things. So get in touch with what, you know, what your words are and what they mean to you.
Yeah, and take command of them, because you are already in command of them. It's a matter of knowing it. And it's a matter of we, the human race, standing up and taking command. This is the deal. All of this nonsense that there are, you know, air pollution, that's just your thinking. There's no air pollution, that's thinking. All of the thoughts, there's no water pollution, that's emotions. You know, this goes on and on and on. It's not the land, it's the structure of your life. Every bit of it is a parallel to we, the human. And could we please take over and start being adults rather than victimized children? Hi, caller.
No, we have to let them know we're ready, and then they'll transfer that in. Okay, you can go ahead and transfer that on in.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Christina.
Hi, Christina.
What can we do for you?
I want to see if I can get a general reading, too.
Sure, be happy to.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for calling. And let's see what we got going on. And I just feel children around you. The 4 cards came out. Just like you're really good with kids.
I work at a children's center.
Oh, well, that might be why they're all around you, literally.
Oh, they are.
Oh. Well, this politics card, if you look at, you know how politicians will say one thing because they feel like they have to make a lot of people happy, and they get to the point where they don't even know what their own truth is. That can happen to us, especially, you know, when we have a loving and open heart, is we're always like thinking, okay, I got to keep this person happy, and then at the end of the day, we're the ones twisted up, and you know, like, how can I make all this happen? So it's saying, look more. You know, when dealing with lots of different parents and everything, you know what I mean?
Right.
You are really in a pivotal place right now where you know, you're a great healer to a lot of people, and you have it emanating out of you, and you are really forming these young lives like you'll never know. I would like to say that there are things that you are laying foundation for that you'll never know, and it's very positive, and it's even bringing a lot of emotion to me. You're a born healer in that way, and so I think it would be great if you continued in that line of work. But, you know, even older kids, and I'm even seeing something, you know, that teenagers, how they get to a certain point where they could use counseling, and that might be something where it evolves into that. The flowering is somebody that takes their own experience and learns from it and then offers it to somebody else. So you have a great deal of your own personal experience that you're bringing. And I just felt like pulling one more card, and this talks about clearing. If you see the person on, or it's a person kneeling on this card, and there's all these little people falling off that, and what that's talking about is clearing out other people's beliefs. And anybody that has ever told you that you're limited in any way, just blow that off you like it's like a little burr that you got in the woods. Just pick it off, blow it out there, because there are no limits.
Okay. All right, great.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, how'd you like to do?
Oh, we have one more.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay. Send our call through then.
Okay.
I hear a ringing.
And then okay.
Yeah. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Ivana.
Ivana, what can we do for you?
Can I get a general reading?
Sure. Maybe go ahead and shuffle this a bit. A lot of times people ask how it is I select cards, and they just feel right. Sometimes, and I'm looking at the backs will just like shine or look a different color, or I'll just have a feeling. So anyway, our first card, Ordinariness. The Ordinariness card reminds us that where true joy is in the moment. It's not in the future, it's not in the past, it's right here, and it's in every moment. It might be on one day on a bride's face on her wedding day, and another day you might find that joy under your laundry in the corner, but it's always there. Some days you just have to look for it, and just don't forget that. Also, this card comes up when we're talking about real estate, like a move that might have come up, or buying property or land or something like that. So just keep that in mind. If that's not something that has happened recently, it may be something coming up in the near future for you. The transformation is, I have always looked at this card. This is talking about, you know, going from one way of being into another, but I've always looked at it as a confirmation that we have every tool, absolutely every single tool that is required for anything that we would choose to do. And just remember that. You're at a place that's a very powerful time for you. So start noticing your tools. And look, speaking of powerful time, the success, the supreme success of the tiger walking on the world, you know, that expression, I'm on top of the world. This is something, you know, coming forward, and it's stuff that you created. And just get real familiar with the fact that everything in your life you've created, so take credit for your successes. We blame ourselves for our failures all the time, and that's easy to do.
It's the only thing we're taught to do.
But the success is really where it counts.
Yeah,
I mean, to know that we are, everything we do is a success. As a matter of fact, when we were conceived, there were billions of sperm competing for that one egg, but the one that got it was the one that we were. So we were already successful beyond measure. Well, thank you.
We have a few more minutes on the show. Would you like to do a reading for me? Just a general reading?
Oh, I'd be happy to.
See what we have to say.
Be most happy to.
Mm-hmm. We have, we teach classes otherwise, which you can find on Telepathic TV.
Tomorrow is crystals, by the way, and then consciously creating your life, which is an excellent one on Sunday.
Yeah, those are astounding. If you've ever had laying on of stones, laying on of crystals, your opportunity is tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Reston. Okay. Do take that opportunity if you wish.
Yeah, it's all on the web, so do, you know, give us a call. We'll be home later this evening. Okay, the first card we got, compromise. These two people still live under the idea that there always has to be a compromise, that someone has to win, someone has to lose, or people have to do 50-50, lose 50-50. And there's a new paradigm, and it is everybody can win, and that we don't have to resist and go forward by resistance of self. So it's really a very liberating card. The second one, exhaustion. You know, that brings about a lot of exhaustion. You know, and the whole world is constantly telling us competition's the way it is, and the only way we can measure our value is to be in an absolute competition somewhere. So this is saying take some time, go take a vacation, just get out of it, just set it down. Any kind of thing that might be propelling you forward, just set it down, and now's the time to just go, and we can go on a road trip. Okay, I had a little bit of personal agenda in that one. Okay, and then the final card, the burden. This guy is walking uphill, and he has this lady on his back, and he's thinking, oh, look, you know, I'm so tired, look at the direction I'm going. It's saying take this off, because anything that's driving us, the call is coming from inside the head. And that's where we go and say, what's our old programming that's making me feel like I have to walk this way? And you know, we talk about that all the time, that we attract that which is the debate that's going on in our head will attract externally. So this is a great time of relief of burdens. And I know there's been a lot going on in life, just in general for everybody, and so this will be a great time of setting those down.
Mm-hmm. Well, excellent. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is Telepathic TV. You are invited. We are live the second and fourth Friday of every month. Mm-hmm. And you're certainly welcome to tune in, to call in, to ask us any question on any subject. We'd be very happy to...
May I mention your books? The
sure.
language codes and the hidden language codes. They're extremely popular. We've had people from all over the world calling in about your book. And I'm really glad that the Hidden Language Codes is out. It's something that I wished for Neville to do for a long time. I thought that would be just a brilliant idea because he had such a good concept, wonderful concept with the language codes. And so I was so happy when that it got completed and sent off to the publisher and accepted immediately. And so you can get that at Barnes & Noble or anywhere. Every bookstore has them, just about.
And they're about giving up this obsolete language everybody speaks, most of which is victimhood. You would be amazed the percent of the language we speak that is victimhood. It's astounding. Once you actually hear this, you may or may not go into a period of being a recluse where you really don't want to listen to anyone because all they're going to tell you about is how and why and where, and that they are always a victim. And it's
but that's changing more and more every day.
Yeah, still nonetheless being actually able to hear it is a different world. When we first found out about rebirthing, all anyone ever talked about was birth trauma. It's the ears to hear it. It's astounding what's going on around here once you actually hear it. And then when you hear it come out of your own mouth, you go, whoa, we have to go have a talk with me. And give up on a huge percent of the language we speak.
You know, you brought up a really good point, though, that that you know, we go have a talk with ourselves, but we must remember to keep that it's an act of love instead of beating ourselves up, you know, that kind of thing, because really it's all about love.
Yes.
Ultimately, there's nothing else.
If we love ourselves, we give up on the constant victimhood mentality. The speech that goes through one's head is this endless paranoia, they call it. Victimhood is a more accurate term.
I've noticed, and I know we're down to our last couple minutes, and I would like to also say that we have many other classes going on, that Tarot 2 and
excellent class.
Seichim is also coming up, and a bunch of other different things. We've got a dream workshop, which is powerful. So have a look, and you can also view Telepathic TV online at telepathictv.com. And pretty soon we're going to be getting a lot more shows up online that you can watch. But you can watch a different show than this, so you can log in right now and watch another one. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is true that love is the universal magnet. So whatever you love, you will call into your life. And so just love. That's all you have to do. Just love the things you love and not feel guilty about loving what you love.
It's phenomenally simple. I was talking to someone the other night who was saying, every time we talk, it's just so simple. I just, you know, it's very apparent. It's very simple. How did I ever think that it was so complex? We're always taught.
We're taught complex.
How complex it is, but it's never complex. It never will be. And it never was.
You know, God makes things simple, man makes things complicated. So once you know that equation, then if it's complicated, you know it's a construct of limited thinking, polar thinking, and it's a game.
Each and every one of us is a screaming out loud genius. There is no human being on this planet that is not beyond the scale of genius. And the elementary proof of this is that water runs downhill by the most efficient route absolutely every time.
And man pumps it back uphill.
Yes, and what percent of water are you? Because you can always see the simplest route.
Well,
you can always see it. You just won't believe it.
Thank our callers tonight. It was our joy and honor to take you to the door.
Yeah, and your choice to go through it. And this is about changing the way we think. Get busy, change it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.